What's up, everyone? It is Matt here with Down Once More, and I'm coming at you today with a little bit of bad news. You are going to have to deal with just me again today. I know Rayleigh's the big draw, what you all come here to see and listen to, but unfortunately, real life right now is just insane this month. So it has been a pain to try to coordinate and get stuff going and record with both of us. So we are pushing everything back a little bit for our July schedule. So we will not have any joint episodes for July. We're still planning, unless something happens. Rayleigh's still going to do mini episode with the new Little Mermaid kind of review and breakdown. And then we're trying to cook up something a little bit different and unique for the final episode of the month, since we're not going to get the Cyrano review in. Cyrano will be pushed to our August movie, barring any other further complications. And we'll try to throw in more joint stuff, kind of make up for this month, but it's going to be fresh, unique. As I say that, what you can expect from today. If there's something you're not really particularly interested in, check out the description below. That will give you time codes on everything so you can jump around and skip. I'm going to do a little bit of random talk. Then I'm going to do a tier list on all the seasons of It's Always Sunny. I officially finished my rewatch, and we're almost done with the current season, so I'm throwing that in there too. And then we're going to do another tier list ranking of all the songs in Heathers the Musical. If you've been listening or watching the pod for a while, you've heard us talk about it multiple times. We did the movie a couple months ago that is streaming for free on Roku, so go check that out. And if the tier lists aren't really your thing, then go watch and catch up on some of our old episodes. We've got tons of movie reviews from Phantom of the Opera, Hercules, Moulin Rouge, Spirited, all sorts of fun stuff there, and lots of other random fun ridiculousness with Rayleigh and I. So go check out our playlists on YouTube or go look at all our past episodes. They're all available, no paywall, nothing hidden. It's all out there, partially because our viewership doesn't support a paywall, and we want you to be able to enjoy everything. So go do that. Before we get into the Always Sunny tier list, just want to talk about a few random things. One is I want to give a shout out to my cousin Josh. I was talking about musicals in general at my family reunion this past weekend, and he mentioned the musical Be More Chill to me, which I'd never heard of, which I'm kind of ashamed of myself that I haven't. And something that is a problem with me, what I tend to do is when something grabs me or I hear something that resonates or connects with me, then I become obsessed with it and basically make it my personality and run the songs or soundtrack or whatever it may be into the ground. And since last week, that's what I have done with Be More Chill. The song Michael in the Bathroom by George Salazar may have cracked my list of top 5 musical theater songs. If you haven't heard it, go check out on YouTube. They have recording from a press, not screening, press event where they performed it. And George Salazar, with his ticks, his performance, his emotion, so damn good. Highly recommend it. And also from Be More Chill, the song I Love Play Rehearsal by Stephanie Sue, who she was in Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's where I was first introduced to her, and she was fantastic in that. And she gives one of the best musical theater performances I've seen in her. It's also from that same press event, from in her performance of I Love Play Rehearsal. Just so quirky, so much energy to it. It is awesome. So go check out those videos and listen to the soundtrack. They have 2 cast recording soundtrack. One they did in 2015 when they first produced and did the musical, and then they re-recorded it in 2019. So there's 2 versions of it out there. Go check it out, listen to it, watch some of the performances on YouTube. They're awesome. Highly recommend Be More Chill. Also, something that I went down, not really a rabbit hole, but I've talked about on here before when we gave our shout out of people were dream guests on the podcast. Hannah Bales, she's a vocal coach. She reacts to musical performances. I stumbled across her when I was going down the Jeremy Jordan rabbit hole, watching all of his performances and videos, her reacting to those and kind of breaking down the vocal performance. She started doing more just kind of like reaction videos to musicals in general that are just really entertaining. And she has a secondary channel. It's called Daddy Hannah, where she does drunken book reviews. And so far, they've all been like trashy romance books. And the last one explored a subgenre I was not aware of, which is dinosaur erotica. So the book was called Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer. And her drunken book review of it was some of the funniest 15-20 minutes I've spent on YouTube. So go check that out as well. It was my shout out portion of the podcast. So go check those things out. Now, without further ado, we are going to do a tier ranking of all 16 seasons of It's Always Sunny. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to go from season 1 to 16. I'm going to throw them up there. I'm going to try to do like I did the other one, have a max of 3 in the elite category. And how I'm deciding these, because there's anywhere between 10 and 13 episodes a season. There might be a couple seasons with 8 episodes. But I'm just going to look at what I consider the best episodes from each season and rank them in that regard. Every season has some weak episodes, and instead of trying to weigh that down, like which best of the best shines the brightest. So one thing I noticed when editing last week's episode is there's a little bit of lag. It's not the best quality when I'm sharing my screen in the tier list. I'm going to try to play around with things, see if I can fix that a little bit, but just a heads up, appreciate all you watching. If you notice any other issues, let me know. But without further ado, let's get into this tier list. All right. So season 1 of Always Sunny, I believe it was 2005 when it came out. This is bad. I should have done more research and made notes on these instead of just the episodes. But with doing the graphics for it and everything. Oh, by the way, all these tier lists, the ones I'm doing today, the Always Sunny, Heather's one, and then the one I did for all the FX series, they're available on tiermaker.com. So they're available, view, share, make your own tier list, share them with us. Tell us what we got wrong, why you think we got it wrong, or how right we are. That's what I prefer hearing, how right we are. But go check it out. Okay, season 1 of Always Sunny. It is the only season without Danny DeVito, which does ding it a little bit, but they just come in so hot with it. The very first episode is called The Gang Gets Racist. And it is also one of the better episodes of that season. And it is hilarious. It sets the tone for what you're going to get with the series. It is low budget. It is over the top humor. It is about some of the worst people you'll ever meet. And it sets up perfectly. One of my favorite things that Always Sunny does is their kind of cold opens, the scene, and then when it cuts to the title screen is always so funny and almost always gets a laugh out of me every time, just how perfectly set up it is. But season 1 has some fantastic episodes. It has The Gang Gets Racist, and then Charlie Wants an Abortion is another fantastic episode. I'm going to put it in the good category for right now. Not having Danny DeVito definitely hurts it, and just still kind of build everyone finding their groove, their chemistry, these characters getting built out. It's not going to go quite in the great category yet. Season 2 has some great seasons as well. This is when Danny DeVito's introduced, and as I was like looking through all the seasons, everything ran together. I did my binge watch so quick. But season 2 has The Gang Exploits a Miracle, where there's a water stain and they decide it looks like the Virgin Mary, and they try to bring people in, make money off of it. Another great episode in that season is Charlie Goes America, all over everybody's ass. So good. The gang runs for office when they try to run for public office there and explore that. That's one of the better scenes where they're talking about who to vote for. Do I vote for the Republican who's blasting me in the ass or the Democrat who's blasting me in the ass? It's all politics. It's all one big ass blast. So has some great moments. Danny DeVito, his character isn't fully fleshed out in it, but still so good. I'm gonna stick it in the good category now as well. This is two in a row. Sounds not as exciting, but we will continue. Season 3, it opens with the gang finds a dumpster baby. With find a baby in the dumpster, which is such a great episode and everything that entails from that. What they're going to do with it. Problematic. They're wanting to turn the baby into a child star. They try to take it to a tanning booth, and then they're painting the baby, and Child Protective Services gets involved. It's a whole thing. It's a great episode. It's a great season. It also has no. Now, keep in mind, these are titles and stuff from the show that is about shitty people. It has the episode that's called Sweet D's Dating a Retarded Person, which is so over the top, but it is so funny. And it is also the first introduction we get to the Dayman and the Nightman, Charlie's music writing that he's doing. So I think season 3 goes in the great category for me. It has some really great moments. Season 4, some of the standout episodes of that for me are the gang solves the gas crisis, which gives us one of my favorite gifts and Charlie moments is when he's the wild card and he's like, wild card, bitches. Woo! Cuts the brakes on the van, jumps out. So good. It's not nearly as funny when I do it, and I'm aware of that, so I apologize. But that is great. And then this would have just been in the okay category for me because there's only 2 episodes that really stand out, but it has the Nightman Cometh in it. And the Nightman Cometh is one of my favorite episodes of all time, and that episode alone is putting it in the great category. It is a musical episode, so therefore it fits this podcast. Perfect. It is when Charlie writes a musical to try to get the waitress to marry him, which, fun fact, Charlie and the waitress are married in real life. Mac and Dee are married in real life. So Dennis is the only one who's not working with his spouse on it. Nightman Cometh, one of my favorite TV episodes of all time. Danny DeVito is a troll. He plays a troll in Charlie's play, and it has when he's saying you got to pay the troll toll to get into this boy's soul, and he keeps saying it boy's hole. It is a whole thing. It is so damn good. Fantastic episode. Season 5, it has good episodes. It has Patty's Pub, home of the original Kitten Mittens, when Charlie does his whole fun ad. That is, I feel like the Kitten Mittens is another heavily quoted line from the show. It has the dentist system, and it has the gang hits the road, where they try to go on a road trip. Charlie's never been outside of Philadelphia. The dentist system is one of my favorite episodes of all time as well. And Dennis is such a creep, but it is so funny. But it's going in 5 in good category. This is going to be one where most of the seasons are going to be in these top 3 categories. I don't know if I will have any in the trash category, which I also meant to edit to weak. I don't think anything is trash, but I think there are certain episodes that are weak. Season 6, Mac fights gay marriage, where he decides to go into his Bible teaching because there was a transsexual person that Mac was with, because Mac is gay. It's a whole thing that goes on with it. And they fully transition. They're now a woman, and they marry a man, and Mac decides that that's gay marriage, and he decides he's going to fight it because the trans person didn't go back with Mac when they got their business removed. Who Got Dee Pregnant, gang gets stranded in the woods, and A Very Sunny Christmas. All great episodes, all super strong, also going in good. I'm bad at being critical with these. Should probably limit myself to 3 in each category. Then we could get some variety. Season 7, gang goes to the Jersey Shore. It gives us one of the other most quotable moments of this, and that's the rum ham, where Frank soaks a giant ham in rum, and that's how he's going to eat his booze. And this is when Mac is fat at this point. He and Rob McElhenney actually gained a shitload of weight for it and then lost a shitload of weight just because he did consult a doctor when he did it, and it factors into the show. It's so funny. But the rum ham, I feel like it's almost become like a cultural thing. One of the bars here in my town, they do a rum ham night where you get a shot of rum and you get a can of Ham's beer with it. It's their special, which is great. It has Frank Reynolds' Little Beauties, which is where Frank hosts a child beauty pageant, and finds out the guy that he was in bed with, that he was organizing it with, he thought it was an adult child beauty pageant, ends up being kids, and the dude that he had started it with is pedophile. And so then Frank's trying to do everything he can to keep from going down with the ship, and tells them they need to write a song that's "Don't diddle kids, it's no good diddling kids," which they then inform him that there's no faster way to make someone think that you diddle kids than writing a song about not diddling kids. And then it has, this is the first time we're introduced to the game Charty McDennis, the game of games, in that episode, and the Storm of the Century. And I think this is my first season that gets the elite tag with it. All of those episodes are so damn good. And it has some of the stronger ones in it, and there's not many like weak ones in the season. So season 7, elite. That's weird that it put those ones backwards. Some of these are backwards down here. Season 8, gang gets analyzed. They go to Dee's therapist to try to figure out who has to do the dishes. Charlie's mom pretends, it's called Charlie's Mom Has Cancer. Charlie's mom's pretending to have cancer. The gang dines out. They all go to the same restaurant, but they're all separate. It's great. And the Reynolds versus Reynolds, the cereal defense. These are all good episodes, but none of them are some of my favorites in it. I'm going to put this as my first one. It's just okay. Like, those are the best episodes in the season, but I think that's the weakest pairing of the bunch on here. So season 9, some of the best episodes in there are Gun Fever 2, still hot. There's a Gun Fever episode in season 1, and it's just different members of the gang are on different sides of the gun issue, and so it becomes an issue. The gang tries desperately to win an award. They try to win the Best Bar Award, and then Mac and Dennis buy a timeshare. The timeshare one is probably my favorite out of those 3. And that season's still just going to get an okay tag for me on there. Those are also they're really solid episodes, and it's a solid season overall, but weaker compared to the other ones. I'm starting to get more picky now. Season 10, the gang beats Boggs. They're all getting drunk on a plane trying to beat the mythical Wade Boggs thing he drank. I think it was like 61 beers on a flight, and then he played in the baseball game. He has a certain number of hits during it. The gang spies like US. This has one of my favorite bits of the show at all, where Charlie meets up with Mac and Dennis, and he's talking about cream pies and what they're going to do with cream pies. And this is the childish, juvenile humor in me, but it is so funny, the double entendre, and just them thinking he's talking about the sexual cream pies, and Charlie just talking about the food cream pies. It is a great episode. It is so funny. It has a Charlie work episode where you see kind of what Charlie does. You think he's a bumbling idiot, and he is, but what he does to keep the bar together and passing their health certificate. Health certification. And the gang goes on Family Fight, which is basically Family Feud, and Keegan-Michael Key is the host of it. Great episodes, great season. It's going in the great category. Season 11, we get Charty McDennis 2, Electric Boogaloo, is what Frank calls the revamped. We get another playing of Charty McDennis in that game as Frank falls out the window, which is basically Frank reverts back to 2006 in his memory, and it's a whole thing. Basically, it's almost like a remake of one of the episodes in season 2 with Frank, and they're kind of the same type of things happening, just everything slightly different. Great episode. Mac and Dennis move to the suburbs. also fantastic. And Charlie Catches a Leprechaun. They're doing a St. Patrick's Day ploy. That is great episodes, great season. I'm still just gonna put it in the good category for now. Season 12. Now, this, I only have 2 episodes highlighted from it. It was a shorter season, but it has 2 of the strongest episodes, my favorite episodes that are going. And that's The Gang Turns Black, which sounds problematic, but it's not. It's the opposite. It was very well handled. It is basically they get electrocuted through a storm and while watching The Wiz, and they turn black, and it is a musical episode as well. So also fits this. It kind of goes them seeing what that experience, that perspective is like. And then season 12 also has the hero or hate crime episode. Mac has come out as gay a couple times during this and keeps going back in the closet. And it is a whole thing. They get an arbitrator going on to figure out if Frank calling Mac the F slur, if he was saving Mac's life, or if it's a hate crime. And it is really good. Good episode. Yeah, we're just going to go good still. And then season 13. This is where at the end of season 12, Dennis leaves. He has a second life family. He's going to go experiment with that. So the opening episode of season 13 introduces Mindy Kaling. She's joined the gang at the bar. At one point, Rob McElhenney's actor, Mac, gets a sex doll of Dennis, and it is a great episode. It's called The Gang Makes Patties Great Again. Then there's Time's Up for the gang, where the gang gets kind of called out on some of their bullshit and talks about all the shitty things they do and how they're shitty people. And then the gang solves the bathroom crisis about who can use men and women's bathrooms. It is just some nice social commentary and everything in that season as well, but not overly heavy-handed, and really handled with a lot of nuance that's fantastic and avoids being too offensive. Season 13 goes in the great category for me. Season 14, Thundergun 4, Maximum Cool. It's part of the gang, gets to preview and be part of a focus group for a movie in one of their favorite series, Thundergun. And Dolph Lundgren is in it as a character in the Thundergun movie. And then the gang solves global warming. Good episodes, not great. Season 14 goes in the okay category for me. Season 15, it's 2020, a year in review, which basically has the gang being part of every major thing that happened in the year 2020, from election tampering, from Rudy Giuliani's hair dye that's leaking. It is so good. Great episode. And that's what opens up season 15. The gang makes Lethal Weapon 7, which the Lethal Weapon movies, the gang makes them in previous seasons. Those have been pulled from streaming, though, because in hindsight, they viewed it was a little problematic because the character, granted, these are about the shitty people, but just wanting to be conscious of appearances in the climate. Mac has blackface because he's playing Murtaugh in the Lethal Weapon movie. So he does blackface in it. And so they take it out. And so this episode, the gang makes Lethal Weapon 7 in this season. It references that in a way about how it was problematic and such that I feel like they handled it so well, because there was a lot of kind of backlash when they removed those episodes. People are like, oh, everyone's too sensitive, yada, yada. But you have to respect the people who are in it that maybe don't want things, even though it is done in a way that's talking about how these are the shittiest people ever and it's not okay. They still maybe don't want things of them in blackface going around constantly, because things get taken out of context and everything too. And how they reference it and kind of pay homage to that is really good. In season 15, there's 4 or 5 episodes that take place in Ireland when the gang goes to Ireland. Out of those, I think the 2 best episodes are the gang still in Ireland and D sinks in a bog. This season has some really strong episodes, but for me, the Ireland being such a huge portion of it and just a couple of them hitting, it goes in the good category for me. And season 16 is going on right now. So far, the two standout episodes have been Frank shoots every member of the gang and Frank versus Russia. There's also Dennis does a reverse system of the Dennis system. I'm blanking on which episode that is. That was really good. And it's great. So far, it's not great. It's good. It's going in the good category. So I'm going to review some of these because right now I have everything trending in good, few in great, and none in elite. So, I mean, one in elite. I am going to move. I'm going to move season 4 in the elite category. The Nightman Cometh and how good the gang solves the gas crisis in is going to bump it up there for me. And then I'm going to move 10 into elite as well. So I got 3 in elite. I am going to move. I'm going to move season 2 into great. And then I'm also going to move season 5. And then I think I'm happy with that. So we got season 4, 7, and 10 in elite. Seasons 2, 3, 5, and 13 in great. Seasons 1, 6, 11, 12, 15, and 16 in good. Seasons 8, 9, and 14 in okay. And so that is going to do it for the Always Sunny one. Oh, I should stop sharing my screen now. So before I get into the Heathers musical, I just want to thank everyone who's been checking these out. Hopefully you've been enjoying the tier list. And if you haven't, then I apologize, first of all. But give us some suggestions, other things you want to see, because with summers being crazy and just life being crazy in general, there's a chance we could run into other issues where it becomes a pain for us to record and get both of us together and on something like this. So having some things in our back pocket that we can do to keep it fresh, interesting things that you guys still enjoy listening, watching, let us know. We want to do what we can. We do this for us, yeah, but we want it to be things that everyone else can enjoy too. So give us some suggestions, DM us, comment, all that fun stuff. And also, while you're at it, like, comment, share, subscribe, everything. It means a lot to us. Seeing our subscribers go up on YouTube, seeing the views go up on YouTube is huge. And something that's stupid, if you're an audio listener, for the tracking, fun fact, it actually only tracks the downloads for the episodes, not the listens. So we have no idea how many of you actually listen to it, just how many of you download it. So fun fact. All right. Now, with that intermission, let's get into Heather's soundtracks ranking. So, also, I did all these graphics today to try and make them unique. So they're not super special, but I needed something for every song. It's not like these are singles, they're all just songs on the album. So, Heather's, if you're not familiar, go watch the movie on Roku for free. Then watch our review of it, which is basically us just fawning over it, talk about some things we love. But it is a musical that was based on the 80s comedy with Winona Ryder and Kristen Slater, the dark comedy about JD and Veronica, who basically decide to kill the popular kids. And that's what they're going to do. And so you wouldn't think necessarily that it would make a good musical, but it is one of my favorites. I'm going to start at the beginning, go through. This is tough. There's another one that we might, I'll probably actually fill some of the variation. I have the lowest category as not for me on here, because I feel like there's not a bad song on this soundtrack, but there are some that just don't connect with me and I don't vibe with. They're not my go-tos. So I am using the West End cast recording for this, and you'll see in my images, I've got that little album on there. I believe Barrett Wilbert Weed and I forget who plays JD in the original one, but from the original off-Broadway recording, they're great. However, I Carrie Hope Fletcher is fantastic as Veronica on the West End cast recording. West End cast recording has some new songs like I Say No and Never Shut Up Again in there that are good additions to it. You'll see how good, I think, and on the ranking. And it replaced Blue with the song You're Welcome. And the Blue reprise is part of what replaced that is part of Never Shut Up Again. So I did include Blue and Blue reprise on here from the off-Broadway cast recording because I have thoughts on those and I feel like they should be ranked as well. And then I have everything from the West End cast recording on here. I didn't want to do every different version of it and rank that because that's just ridiculous. Now, there are some minor lyrical changes between the off-Broadway and the West End one as well. I'm just going to start with the first song off the soundtrack, Beautiful. I think it's great. It is a great introduction to all the characters. It's like a 5+ minute song. It is setting up what we're about to get into. Is Veronica narrating it with her Dear Diary, which Winona Ryder did in the movie. That was a through point throughout the movie. And so that we get that introduction to Veronica, the Heathers, Martha, Dunstock, JD, Ram, Kurt, everyone. It is great. So well performed. A lot of story going on. It's got some interludes in it for some talking segments. Great. Candy Store. Also great. This is the first song with the Heathers singing. Heather Chandler primarily, but we get introduced to ringleader Heather Chandler, Heather McNamara, Heather Duke, them. So Candy Store, also great. Fight for Me, Veronica singing about JD. It's almost like a little bit of a love song ballad. This is really good with the choreography and everything on stage too, and the blocking is so good in Fight for Me and so well played out. So recommend watching it if you haven't. I'm gonna go great for that. Big Fun, the first party that's going on. Big Fun goes in good for me. It's fine. It's got some good moments. This one, there's some substantial lyrical changes between the off-Broadway version and the West End one that they changed. But we talk about that more in the podcast episodes. Go check that out if you want. Freeze Your Brain, in my mind, is elite. Freeze Your Brain is one of my favorite songs from the soundtrack. With JD get some more backstory on his character, talking about the 7-Eleven slushies, everything numbs. I'm blanking on the lyrics. Happiness comes when everything numbs. Who needs cocaine? Those are the lyrics. I kept wanting to say everything numbs, and that is not right. The Me Inside of Me is the suicide note that they fake for Heather Chandler after it, and it is primarily performed by Heather Chandler after she passes, and everything going on with that. It's a really good song, not one of my favorites. I'm putting it in the good category. Dead Girl Walking, Veronica. These are actually out of order. Dead Girl Walking takes place before the Me Inside of Me. Veronica going to JD, and it's a sex song. They do some sex. That's how people who have sex have said it, right? Dead Girl Walking, I think, is great. It's going great category. So You're Welcome. This is primarily Kurt and Ram in what is a sketchy situation, basically cornering, trying to pressure Veronica into sex. Not a good situation. It is about Veronica taking control, standing up, protecting herself, getting herself out of the situation. This replaced Blue from the original version of the play. Blue is a lot more lighthearted, with Kurt and Ram singing to her, "You make our balls so blue." They're hanging sadly, refer to him as Princess Leia, balls being dressed up in a tuxedo. Uh, it's a lot more lighthearted, and I kind of get what they're going for in wanting to make it. It's a serious situation, and they're not wanting to make light of it. I get that. However, I feel like Blue more fits the tone of the musical. It is still very apparent that what Kurt and Ram are doing are not okay. I prefer Blue. Blue goes in the good category for me. You're Welcome goes in the okay category. Um, Now, Carrie Hope Fletcher's performance, fantastic. The empowerment in those aspects, also fantastic. Part of the reason You're Welcome is just okay to me, it's a lot more just talking. Um, her just basically reciting things with a beat in the background as much, and the score in the background, and it doesn't connect. It's not as catchy, and so that's why it's just okay. Never Shut Up Again is Heather Duke's song when she's trying to take over for Heather Chandler. And she's saying that she's done being told what to do. She's never going to shut up again. And she wears the scrunchie, the red scrunchie that was Heather Chandler's. It's a big thing. It's basically a sign of power, leadership. Um, and song's just okay for me. I don't feel like it necessarily adds a ton to the play. We had that character development before with Heather Duke that wasn't in the song, and it's not a particularly catchy one, in my opinion. I get wanting to get that actress some more time to shine because Heather Duke doesn't do much in this play. She doesn't have a solo song. And so I get wanting to put that in there, but it's just okay for me. Our Love is God. Uh, JD and Veronica singing to each other after everything that's gone on, and kind of talk about confronting Kurt and Ram after what happened in Blue and You're Welcome. Those, and then Kurt and Ram making up lies to the school about what Veronica did. And as sung about in the Blue reprise, there was a big sword fight in her mouth. And it gets referenced a little bit in Never Shut Up Again. Blue Reprise is also more entertaining, fits the tone of the musical. It goes in the good category too. Our Love is God is a kind of fucked up song, but because it's them plotting to, well, in JD, he's plotting to kill Kurt and Ram. Veronica still believes that he's just trying to fake their suicide as them being gay lovers, because back in the 80s, that would be the most embarrassing thing for them. Just kind of outdated, but this is one, it's, you consider the time that it's made, and it also, song we'll get into in a second, My Dead Gay Son, kind of elaborates on that more and kind of makes it more of an empowering thing. But Our Love is God is JD basically trying to talk Veronica into this, the more faking suicide things after Heather Chandler, that they need to make their be more good. It's the only way that the popular kids and the losers can get along, coexist, is if they bring the popular kids down a peg. And he talks about their love is God. They're what starts finish wars, killed the dinosaurs. They're the asteroid that's overdue. And it's a really good song, and Jamie Moscato and Carrie Hope Fletcher are so good in it. So it goes in the great category for me. Our Love is God does. My Dead Gay Son, Kurt and Ram's fathers singing at their funerals. This fun song, everything going along. Lyrically, it is very clever, tongue in cheek, really good, and kind of more of an empowering song too. I think it's great. Goes in the great category. 17 is another song that goes in the great category for me. It is Veronica and JD singing together. when after everything, after everyone, all this death and everything, JD wants to keep going and take out everyone else. And Veronica's like, can we just be 17? And it is a very passionate kind of love song, but more about just like kids. We shouldn't be murdering people. We shouldn't be dealing with all of this. Can't we just be 17? So good. Shine a Light goes in the good category for me. I'm moving it to okay, actually. Shine a Light is the guidance counselor. It's kind of a hippie at the school, is hosting an event for the news. It's got some more talking breakdown segments. It has some really good, like the staging and everything of this. Live, the performance really good on the filmed version, so it's good there. Also, guy, it looks like Nick Offerman is in the crowd in it, which is interesting. But it's not one of my favorites. It's just okay, so it goes in that category. I Say No is an elite song, maybe my favorite song in the whole soundtrack. And it is what actually got me into Heathers the Musical, because performance of Carrie Hope Fletcher singing it popped up on my Instagram as I was scrolling. It was a suggested post, and I'm like, this song is good as hell. I need to figure out what this is. And I went and dug and did more. It is a song that was added for the West End. It is Veronica, the most empowering song for her yet, of her standing up to JD when he's wanted to keep going. I say no, and just going and telling him how toxic and everything he is. It is so good. It is so well written. It is so well performed. It's elite for me. Kindergarten Boyfriend, not for me. This is Martha Dunstock, who Veronica was friends with. She's kind of the butt of the joke. She's a bigger girl. She was in love with Ram. No. Yes, Ram. Ram or Kurt, one of those. I'm pretty sure it was Ram. And she basically tries to go and take her own life. And she's singing about how Ram could, well, I'm going to back up. She tries to confront Veronica. She doesn't think that Ram killed and Kurt killed themselves, because there's no way Ram could have been gay, because he had wrote her a love letter and he liked her, and they kissed at one point when they were in kindergarten. And she tells her she had faked a note to her. It wasn't Ram, yada yada, and it drives her to want to take her life. And she sings a song about Ram being her kindergarten boyfriend. She talks about putting his scab in a locket, stuff like that. Not for me. Not for me. Not a fan. Yo Girl goes in the okay category. Sorry, Kindergarten Boyfriend, not for me. Yo Girl is okay. It's more of like an interlude to get to Meant to Be Yours. It's fine. It's nothing special. It's not really even a full song. I think it's less than a minute long. It's more a chorus of Heather Chandler and some of the ensemble singing and kind of narrating as Veronica's going through this stuff, going back to her home after she's dealing with the fallout of JD, and JD just being insane and dealing with that. It leads to Meant to Be Yours. These are actually jumped around because where did Meant to Be Yours go? It jumped into okay. That's not where I wanted it. It goes back down here. Lifeboat and Shine a Light Reprise happened before this, but I'm just going how they're on here. Nope, I lied. I'm gonna jump back. I'm gonna jump back to where it is. Shine a Light Reprise takes place after Shine a Light, when Heather Duke kind of shames Heather McNamara and drives Heather McNamara. No, I'm wrong again. I'm jumping back. Lifeboat is before Shine a Light Reprise. It is at that event the counselor's hosting. Heather McNamara's singing about her kind of feeling suicidal and alone and all of this and bearing her soul. And the performance is so good. And it's such an emotional song. I think Lifeboat is great. Lifeboat goes in my great category. It is followed then by Shine a Light, which is Heather Duke just right after that song, telling Heather McNamara she just whines. Why doesn't she go die alone and all of that? It's good. How the score and the orchestration, how it builds, it's really good. Solid vocal performances. It's nothing super special, so it's just good. Now, I think I'm mostly there. Meant to Be Yours. I think Meant to Be Yours is elite. But what I think makes it elite is Jamie Moscato's performance. I need to make sure that I'm saying this, I'm using the right name, because if it's not Jamie Moscato, that is embarrassing as fuck, because I've said it multiple times now. Dun, 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 dun. It is Jamie Moscato. Look at me not being embarrassing and shit. His performance on the West End cast recording of this, there's just so much emotion to it and so much build up to it, and it is awesome. So, and that was one thing that if you watched our episode on Heather's, that I I dung the performance, the filmed version for a little bit. The actor who played JD in that, he didn't quite have the intensity of Jamie Moscato, which is fine. It's a different way of playing the character. But Jamie Moscato's on this cast recording is just fantastic. And so it's elite. It's JD trying to confront Veronica, get her to go to the prom with him, and he's revealing his plan to her about how he's basically going to blow up the school and have mass suicide note from the whole school for it, which is the climax of the movie too. And so it is so good. It is elite to me. The reprise of Dead Girl Walking is after that, because Veronica fakes her suicide to get JD to leave and then goes to try and stop him. It's good. Most reprises just don't do it for me as much. Like it's calling back to some before. An exception to that would be the I'll Cover You reprise in Rent. So good. I like it better than the original. Just the emotion in I'm blanking on the guy's name, but his emotion who sings the I'll Cover You reprise is so good. So good. I Am Damaged is JD's song after Veronica stops him. He's dying, gets shot. It's okay. It's not a particularly great one for me. We talked about in our review how kind of the ending of the musical, I feel like, is a little problematic, and there's things I would change on it if I were writing the musical. But so I Am Damaged, and then the final song, 17 reprise, also go in the okay category for me. I don't think they're great. I think they're just okay. Just okay. They're good ones. It doesn't bring the ending home as much as I wanted it to. And like I said, were the highlights to me: Freezer Brain, I Say No, Meant to Be Yours. So we have in the elite category, Freezer Brain, I Say No, Meant to Be Yours. Great, beautiful. Candy Store, Fight for Me. Candy Store could have creeped into the elite one. It was close. I was debating Candy Store, Meant to Be Yours, but for me, these are just mine, Meant to Be Yours is up there. Fight for Me, great. Dead Girl Walking, great. Our Love Is God, My Dead Gay Son, 17, Lifeboat, all great. Good. We have Big Fun, The Me Inside of Me, Blue reprise, Shine a Light reprise, Dead Girl Walking reprise. Okay, we've got You're Welcome, Never Shut Up Again, Shine a Light, Yo Girl, I Am Damaged, and the 17 reprise. And not for me is Kindergarten Boyfriend. Just, it doesn't do it for me. But that's the Heather's tier ranking. So that is going to wrap up our tier rankings, and that is going to wrap up this episode. I wanted to do 2 tier lists because when I did one for the mini episode, this is supposed to be a full episode for you. I didn't want to rob you of that just because Rayleigh's not here, and you might be like, man, I wish you would have just shut up and kept it short and sweet. So I'm sorry. That's what the time codes are for. You can skip around if you want. If you don't like me, fine. Not everyone's cup of tea. I know that. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you didn't feel like you were missing out or robbed of too much. Like I said, give us some suggestions of some other things you'd like to see. And if there's anyone, like, I'm 100% serious. We're willing to bring on other people. If there's someone who has an idea for a tier list or something like that that wants to be a special guest for an episode, if that's something you're interested in, let us know. And there's a chance we'll bring you on. We've talked about bringing in some of our friends, siblings. I had my friends Rachel and Steve join for our Fast 10 review, and then a Succession recap. So it's not out of the question. You could be on Down Once More with us. You could join us in going down. We could go down together. It'd be fun. Fun time. So on that note, stay tuned on our socials for exactly what you're going to see each week. In theory, the tentative plan right now is that next week, the 19th, that's going to be Rayleigh's Little Mermaid mini review. And then for the 26th episode, TBD. We're both traveling like the week before that. I'm traveling for work. Rayleigh's traveling too. So we'll see. I plan on having something out for you guys on the 26th. But worst case scenario, don't crucify us if there's not. We appreciate you being understanding. We appreciate your support. Like I said, like, comment, share, rate us. Rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Only if it's a good rating. If you're going to give us a shitty rating, then why? Give us constructive feedback. I guess you could do it in the rating category, but I'd rather not. I'd rather you just message us. Keep our ratings high. Let our only ratings be the 5 stars Rayleigh and I have rated our own podcast, because someone has to stroke our ego, right? But hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, don't forget to go down once more. Later.